So how about we go around, guys, and you just introduce yourselves and just talk about maybe the instrument that you play in the band and your role in the band. And we can start with you, Luca.
All right, I'm Luca Indrio, and I play the bass guitar in NECROT, and I'm the singer of NECROT. There you go.
How about up to you, Chad?
All right, I'm Chad Gailey. I play drums for NECROT.
Yeah. And then the third member, Sonny.
Hey, what's up? I'm Sonny Reinhardt. I play guitar in NECROT.
Now, afterwards, what I'll do, I'll edit in some crowd noise right there. We'll make it seem like 1,000.
Yeah, from Lord of the Ring.
There we go. Now, there's the voice that we've all loved right there in NECROT, right there, just without any processing or effects. Luca can just drop the death
Uruguay.
right on demand. So let's start, Luca. Go back. You guys formed in 2011 in Oakland, correct?
In San Francisco.
In San Francisco. So talk to
We
me about.
were living. We were living in. I mean, I was living in Oakland, and Chad was living in San Jose, but our practice space was in San Francisco. So we always consider at least ourselves initially like a San Francisco band, just because the practice space was there.
Mm-hmm.
But then soon after, like a year later, then we started the band. Maybe not even. We moved the practice space to Oakland. And then we were all living in Oakland. So we really didn't have much to do with San Francisco, but we actually started there.
Oh, okay. And originally it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was you and Chad. Is that right, Luca?
Yes, it was me and Chad. We met playing a show together with our respective other bands in Oakland. And then we started jamming together. And initially, there was a third member too, which was Kyle from Acephalix that was playing with me. He did a few practices with us, like a couple of practices, literally 2 or 3. And then it was like then some shit went down, and like me and Chad were the one with the main focus. You know what I mean? We knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to have a band that, like, you know, would fully dedicated. We wanted to be fully dedicated on the band and have a band that was able to record and go on tour and do all that shit. So we needed someone that was down to do the same thing. That's why initially we had Kyle jamming with us, but then he's not a touring guy. So then after a little bit, you know, we were like, okay, man, you know, we're going to stay just me and Chad and then find someone who actually wants to do that shit. But then we actually stayed just me and Chad for like a year and a half or maybe 2 years. I don't know, Chad?
Yeah, it was like a year and a half because I think it was like in August when we had just we just finished recording Into the Labyrinth, and so we were still a 2-piece, and then that's when we had Sonny try out.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So it was around 2013, so maybe 2013 then, end of 2012, early around 2013 that Sonny.
It was end of 2012. Yeah.
Because we started in April 2011. That's when we started. So we start towards the, you know, the half or whatever, kind of, not even. Anyway, kind of halfway through the year, kind of.
I got to go back. I got to go back to something that you mentioned and actually jumped out to me in some earlier interviews of you guys, and that's the word dedication. And I want us to pause on that and just talk about it for a little bit, because in many ways, this is a real blue collar band. You guys want to fucking work. You want to record, you want to get out and tour, you want to be as productive as possible. And I know that that was very important in the decision that you made to bring Sonny into the band, was you sensed that dedication in him as well. So
absolutely.
If one of you guys could just talk about how important this band is to you guys, the work ethic you put into it. You looked really suspicious about what was in that drink when you took a swig.
It's a Gatorade.
So let's, well, it was yellow and you looked like it might have been something. So I wasn't quite sure.
Of piss.
Yes, exactly. So just talk to me about the importance of hard work in this band and in the decisions that you make as a band.
Well, you know, we play death metal. So it's like, if you don't put a lot of dedication into it, there's nothing that is going to get passed to you for free or just because. You know, where it's not like a commercial kind of music, it's an extreme kind of music. So it's like, if you want to do anything relevant, you're going to have to put a lot of work behind it for many reasons. I mean, first of everything for yourself, because if you don't put your 100% effort in the thing that you say you care the most in your life, you're just a buffoon. And then it's like, second, because you want to get, like, playing for each and one of us is the most important thing we got in our life. And also it's like, is the most secure thing that we have had through our life for the longest time. Because no matter what, like, you know what I mean, is like everything else can fall apart, but like you're always gonna have your music, your instrument, you know, it never fucks you over. So it's like you have to fully dedicate yourself to it if you wanna, you know, experience it to the fullest extent. Otherwise, if you're just doing it for fun, it's okay. But don't say it's your great passion or some shit. You know what I mean?
So for you, this is more than just something you're doing. This is on the side as for fun. This is a lifestyle that you've chosen to dedicate yourself to. Is the sense?
Definitely. Yes, definitely. Absolutely. No doubt.
Absolutely. How about you, Chad?
I mean, like Lucas said, you know, you're not going to put in the effort to do something, you're not going to get anything out of it. So we've all worked in all of our other bands, like whether it's writing or doing the merch or like behind the scenes stuff, we all make, you know, the effort to make it happen, because it's like if we're not all working together, then it's not going to happen at all, or just nothing's going to get done. So, I mean, before NECROT, I was, you know, always doing stuff with my other bands and, you know, always trying to make sure that, you know, everything was taken care of. And I still do that with a lot of the band stuff. You know, it's just important for everybody to be involved. And, I mean, we've always been like that since the beginning. Like Lucas said, I mean, we were practicing 2 or 3 times a week just to learn all of our songs for the first 2 demos. And I was coming up from San Jose, driving back to San Jose, and it's like a lot of work. Like I didn't have to do that. I was going to school, I was working. I mean, you know, you put in the work because you want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, then you're not going to, and you can just do something else. That's why, like, you know, there's a lot of bands that just don't, you can see that their effort isn't directed towards that. They just want to look like they're in a band and do that, then actually put in the work to be the band.
Absolutely. And Sonny, was that one of the things that attracted you to NECROT, was just how fucking focused they are on the music that they're making?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the time, I had been already touring and doing a lot of stuff, a ton for years with some of the other bands I was in, with Saviors and stuff. And some of those guys were, you know, moving on to other cities or, you know, getting different priorities. And I wanted to keep the fire lit, you know, and keep working hard. And, you know, and I saw in Chad and Luca that they were very motivated to do that. And, you know, I was really stoked on the music. And, you know, it's true. You gotta work really hard with this kind of music, because you gotta stay focused on your instrument and, you know, all the behind the scenes stuff. Like at the time it was, you know, and still is very exciting as far as how much DIY it was, and, hands-on with what we were doing. And like, you know, we played with like an amazing amount of other bands that were really cool. And like, you know, it's just been, we had a lot of really good times too. So I think that's also important, like, is with the dedication, is if you can have a good time doing it, it makes you more passionate about it because you love what you're doing. You know, it's like what the other guys said, you gotta love what you're doing to even want to do it, you know, to keep working at it and keep getting better and
absolutely
stay focused.
So you joined, and the first release that has all 3 of you is The Abyss, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it at that point that you signed with Tank Crimes, or had you already been on Tank Crimes and then you released Labyrinth, all of the earlier things together? Was it right around that time that you signed with Tank Crimes?
It was a little while after that.
I think so too.
The Tank Crimes thing didn't come until later.
Okay.
I remember we were in the backstage at DNA or something when Scotty, he was like, I want to bring it up officially, because he had said it before. He had mentioned it before to do something eventually.
Buddy, like, because I know we were sort of looking for a cool label, and then I had been working some shows at this local venue here called the Oakland Metro. Scotty was, he would promote some shows, and I can't remember what show it was exactly, but one of those times he mentioned, he was like, I'm interested in you guys.
If we remembered the show, we could actually remember. Too many shows to pin it down.
Understandable.
2013, 2014?
Something, 2013, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Abyss was great because like Sonny did the guitars, and I think the sound was so much better than the two before.
Just
for
in terms of production,
various reasons. No, just because in the first two I played the guitars.
Right.
Which I play the guitar when I write the songs, but I never play guitars live. I don't have like super good equipment. I don't have Sonny's a fucking amazing guitar player. Right. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like if someone was playing the bass or the drums, there wasn't really a drummer or a bassist, and then all of a sudden you got a real deal guy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we immediately made a little step forward immediately.
So this to me brings up a little bit of a process question. So I know that Luca, you oftentimes, not oftentimes, you bring the majority, if not all of the riffs to the group, right? Is that correct?
It is correct. It is like, usually I come up with the riffs and the song structure, but then we work on it together. Like things get changed around. Like, you know what I mean? It's not that it's like, oh, this is the song is done.
Yeah. See, that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know if you brought
like the song is brought in and it is done, but I always have like, doubts. What drum beat should be here? Should I sing this part or should be a guitar part? I'm hearing like a guitar part on this part. You know what I mean? Or like I tell him like, I wrote this part for you to write a 6 solo on it.
Very cool.
Or like, so that there is like, I bring a song that is in theory finished, but is not. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So it's like an architect, you're kind of laying the foundation, and then the work crew is going, hey, that ain't going to fucking work. We got to do this. We got to do that. What about this? What about that?
Totally. Also because like, it's like Chad's got great inputs. Sonny's got great inputs. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes I'm like, I'm imagining the song, like, the feeling of a song changes so much, or a riff, depending on the drum beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can make a riff being happy or super sad, just changing the drum beat almost. You know what I mean? So it's like that's really an important part of the writing process too. Is like, sometimes I bring a song and I have in mind drum beats and they all work out fine and Chad is in. Sometimes it's like, why don't we try this or that? Or someone says this, and, and then the song gets changed by like the feeling of it almost. You know what I mean? Just changing the drum beat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of drums, Chad, if I had to describe your style, sometimes I like to use adjectives. Pounding. Jesus Christ. No, it's awesome. It's incredible. Still for me, my favorite song of all of the songs that you guys do, and this will bring us up to 2017 here, is off of Blood Offerings, and it's The Blade. And just the simple fill at the beginning, and then that fucking ride bell that you hit throughout the first part of that song, just to me, that's just an epic way to start a song and an album. So let's talk about that album for a while. So this was your first full-length release, 2017, Blood Offerings. Tell me just a little bit about that album, kind of what the themes were behind it, what the process was like.
When we were writing it, I'm trying to think like when that was all happening. It was like
I remember the day. I remember the day we wrote The Blade, dude. And you remember
my God.
too that then we stopped to the gas station at the AM/PM on West Grand and fucking Market, and we like bought an ice cream or some shit. Eats it, and we had the recording of the song on the phone, and we were playing it in your car, and we were super stoked.
Yeah. No, I mean,
you remember?
I remember when we were writing it. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think like when we started writing, because it had to have been at like January of
Oh,
2017.
the dates? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really early on that year you started writing the
Yeah.
material for that album?
Yeah,
know I
because we went in August to record it.
Mhm.
So
Was that an
Remember-
ear hammer as well?
yeah.
Yeah.
we had my birthday party in August at the
Oh,
Purple Cake.
Oh,
The
yeah,
purple
purple
cake.
cake.
I love the way that you guys remember your own history through kind of little anecdotal experiences. Like, yeah, we were getting gas at the gas station. I love this. This is great.
we had the Sonny's birthday party at Hammer because his birthday was one of the dates that we were recording.
Mhm.
So it's like, and someone brought a cake that was tits, right?
It was-
Or not?
Big
It was
cake,
purple tits.
and it was a purple cake, and we ended up having a huge cake fight, and everybody was covered in cake, purple cake, singing "Purple Cake" like
Instead of purple rain, yeah.
purple cake. There's pictures of it somewhere. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I have some. There is B Rice was there. Bryce.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Oh,
I think we were either done recording or close to it, or we were mixing.
I remember I had to go in the next day or the day, and I was super hungover or something, and ended up having to do a bunch of the songs again.
Oh, fuck.
Take two. But let's jump up now because we've gotten 2 songs off your new album, which is entitled Mortal. The songs have been Stench of Decay and Asleep Forever. Talk to me about the recording process. Was it done at Earhammer as well? So just give me some of the background of Mortal, and I am just so and then talk about when the album is going to drop itself, the full album.
Well, we were just back from like a row of like many tours because we went to like many places. We came to the Pacific Northwest, then we went to Australia, then we went to Japan. Then we got back, and after like 3 days, we went on a 45 days US tour with Exhumed and Gate Creeper.
Yeah.
And then we got that from all that shit. We got back from that, and we had like a month or something like that before we started recording Mortal.
Well, we
it's
learned those songs before we left on that, but it was like we only played them for like a week or something like that, or 2
All
weeks.
of them, yeah, we got to know all of them by like, right before we left for all those tours. So then we got back, and like I worked on the lyrics during all those tours. And then we got back, and we had a little over a month, so we took a few days off. It was like Christmas, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then we were practicing every day. We practiced every day for almost like 3 weeks, and then we went and recorded.
Man.
And then even recording, this time we booked it different because like last time we booked the time with Greg a little too close to like recording date. So there was like some gaps that he was booked with other people. This time we booked like a full straight, you know what I mean? Bunch of days in a row.
The session was just one big block.
The session was like big block Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday off to listen to shit or whatever, and boom, other 5 days. And then we did like 3 or 4, I don't know, 15 days or something like that. Was it 3 weeks or 4?
It was like
maybe 3.5.
It was 3.5 weeks.
3.5 or 5 days, so maybe 20 days, a little less than 20 days, and we were done.
How long are those days when you guys go into the studio? I mean, how many hours a day are
like
you in?
8 hours, or sometimes a little shorter, depending what like. Usually it's like from 10 to like 6
right.
or something like that. But then sometimes there's some days that maybe someone's got some obligations, so we're like, we stop at 5 today, or
Are there some particular themes, Luca, that you have found on this album you've decided to focus on lyrically?
Oh, more than the other, maybe?
Yeah. Is there anything, just given what's going on in the world, anything that's kind of drawn your attention these past couple of years that have influenced your writing?
The writing was done before the pandemic, but like the world has been fucked since forever. It's like finally people have a moment to stop, and they're finally noticing, because people are always busy. So it's like they don't even have time to think about anything, you know what I mean? And it's like they get so far away, they have no sensitivity, since they're not sensible towards like, other people's suffering pretty much. Mm-hmm. So it's like because they're too caught up with their life. And also there is also like a sense of security that everybody usually have, because everybody lives pretty comfortable lives, you know what I mean? And they have pretty stable jobs or opportunities or careers or whatever the fuck they think they're doing or they're doing.
And then
So
the
now that
crisis comes along.
And people finally have time to like think about it, and they finally have time to not feel that safe anymore, or that everything is gonna go according to their plans. So it's like I feel like there is a little bit more attention to others people problems too, and I hope so. Maybe I'm just delusional, but anyway, the lyrical themes have always been influenced by society, but also by the fact that that ultimately human suffering often is only understandable but hard to cope with, and often there is no solutions in problems, even if you understand exactly how something went and why someone suffered or why that happened, and there is inevitable behaviors that they're inside of you that you grow up with through years of living on this planet, and like, so it's like all your you're not fully in control pretty much. So it's like there is a huge trauma that is given by society and also by the rule of the game, which they give you so many turns that they don't go anywhere, and what experience teach you is to live with them without losing your mind, you know what I mean?
Almost
so it's like
existential coping in some ways.
Existential coping, but knowing that if you analyze everything to the deepest, farthest point, you're gonna get lost.
Absolutely.
Because there is not an answer. We are not given with enough information. Anyway, so it's like the trauma that everybody we suffer from hurting each other, often without even knowing it. You know what I mean? So it's like guilt. What is guilt? Who's guilty? Some people are really guilty. Some situations are really obvious, but a lot of situations, like, people do horrible shit thinking that they're doing something good. And it's like we are pushed by society against each other, and there is crazy disparity, and like it has been perpetuated since forever. So it's like people are suffer even fucking more than what they're supposed to, because we're very far from an ideal place, very far from an ideal society, very far from like justice. So it's like everything that brings into your mind living in this world goes into my lyrics of like this sense of nothingness, this sense of like these roads that don't go anywhere.
The void.
This sense of like
use that quite
the void.
often. Yeah.
Sure, the void is like, you know what I mean? Even in your happiest moment, you know that whatever you got is gonna be completely erased, because you're gonna die, you're gonna turn into dust. There is gonna be people remember you were until they were alive, and they're gonna pass that voice, but then the memory is gonna be gone. Like ultimately everything is gonna be erased. So it's like finding also some kind of comfort in that, because it's like we often go insane about like things that have been wrong to us or injustice that is done to us, you know what I mean? And it's like we lose our mind on what someone else did, or like all these situations. Instead, it's like finding some kind of comfort in knowing that at the end everything is gonna be pure justice. You know, we all going towards the same destiny. Everything is gonna disappear, so don't get so mad about shit that happens here. And it's like, to me, finding the comfort in the darkness is also why lots of people like extreme dark fucking music.
Absolutely.
So yes,
absolutely, there is something about the impermanence of everything that can both scare the shit out of you and also be comforting at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Chad, I'd like to get your perspective on the new album. If there's something about it that you're particularly excited about, a song that you're really, you can't wait for the world to hear, just talk to me a little bit about your experience with the album and what you're looking forward to.
I just think that I keep telling everybody that it's the best stuff we've ever done. Everybody plays really well on it. We were ready to record it. And you know, it's like, you know, whenever I say that, it's like, I'm not saying that we weren't ready to record Blood Offerings, but I think we were like definitely more prepared. We had more of an idea of how we wanted to execute it in the studio, and just I just think that it overall sounds better. We like Greg has gotten better as a recording engineer every year that, like, you know, because he's recording so many different bands all the time, so he's constantly improving. And so, you know, he showed us some new tricks, and he put some new input on it, and even helped with, you know, some of the song structures, which was cool. And then you know, the mastering sounds great. Yeah, I'm like really proud of what we've done, and, you know, in the amount of time that we had to do it, because we haven't stopped touring or, like, you know, being active as a band since 2017. Like, we've, like, for example, like 2019 we toured on the Decibel tour, and then we did some stuff in the summer where we, like, went to Canada, and then we played a bunch of shows locally, and then we went to the Pacific Northwest, we went to Australia, we went to Japan, and then we did another US tour. So in between all that, trying to write and record and get ready to do that is pretty sick. I think we did a great job considering everything that we were doing. But yeah, I'm really happy about the album, and I think if people are still kind of like doubting that it's not going to be a good album, or if it's not going to live up to Blood Offerings, I think they're wrong. I think it's going to just, you know, it's going to like obliterate Blood Offerings.
That's all. That's awesome to hear. I want to switch to Sonny, but then I want to get back to actually something that you just referenced, and maybe have it be the kind of way out, Chad. And that's just the question of expectations. So let's circle back to that. But Sonny, talk to me about your experience with Mortal, stuff that you're really psyched about relative to the album, just some of your experiences. And then, like I said, we'll circle back to that expectation question.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with Chad. We were just more better prepared for this album than Blood Offerings. And, we've been playing so much. I think, like, we had gotten tighter and better together and at our instruments. And, you know, like, the stuff that I really like about Mortal on my end is that I got to do some pretty cool, super melodic kind of stuff with the solos, but it's still very brutal. And like, I think we all kind of expanded our sounds with the production. And I don't know, the tunes are just sicker overall, you know, like it's fucking badass, you know. It's like, it's the overall production and the way that we recorded it was, I mean, everything at Ear Hammer has a similar kind of flow when you work there, but every time you go in there, Greg is doing something more efficiently, or, oh, I found a better way to do this, or I know how to get this sound better now, or like, let's try this new idea that I had, you know. Like, he's really creative in the space that he has working with people, and is able to, I think, actually gotten even way better at pulling out better performances out of people.
Do you find that working with the same person throughout time I mean, it seems like you guys are learning together as a band, but then also relative to the recording process as a team, you're learning through time. So do you find that working with the same person helps with that process?
I think so. I think also there's some comfort in knowing what to expect with the process, and knowing how it's going to flow. And also, he knows us as a band really well, so he knows, like, kind of like almost has like a preset view of what's going to work and what doesn't work. So in a lot of ways, that helps make the whole process more efficient.
Absolutely.
And also able to say, like, hey, well, I want to try this idea, this is what I have in mind. And he'll be like, look at the whole scheme of things with what you have in mind, and be like, okay, that could work, but actually that's probably not going to be that good of an idea. You know what I mean? It's like
Very cool.
he's so able to be pretty honest with what we expect and what ideas we have and whether or not it's going to work or not. And
Absolutely.
I think we got to try some new stuff, and that worked ultimately, I think. So I'm
Very
excited
cool.
for people to hear what some of those things are, and you know, and to hear these fucking new songs. They fucking slay.
I know like I said, I've heard the first two and I fucking adore them. I was like, God damn, these are fucking killer. So I'm looking forward to hearing the full album. And here's getting ready for this. I was going, you know, I go through old interviews, I look at lyrics and shit, and there was a line, and I'll go back to The Blade. All right, guys, it's my favorite song. I think I've said it a couple times now. But there's a line in there about relieving the unknown from the weight of expectations. And I was thinking about how one thing that's a little bit different about this release, and Chad kind of alluded to it a little bit, is you know, your sophomore, you know, I'm not counting Labyrinth was an LP, but it was putting together, it was a compilation, right? So really this is the sophomore full-length album, and people love you guys now, and there's what is it like writing an album where the expectations are so fucking high?
Well, to me, it was sick because I knew we were better. Because the 3 years we did of tours before writing this album, we literally played with the best bands, with the best death metal bands for multiple days in a row. And like, we all learned so much from it. Like when Blood Offerings came out, we still not even had done a tour that was not an underground tour. We have done full US tour, but like, or longer tours, but like, it was never like a, you know, a package tour, or like, it was always like, you know, some guy that was like, you know, even the tour we did with Undergang was he got booked for free by this guy, and people helped booking shows. And like, I mean, it's like, it was, we did 3 years of like a lot of experiences, you know what I mean? We did a full European tour that was like 40 days. We did tours back to back, like, you know, we did a lot of things, and like, we were better, you know. We got to 2020 to have to write this album, and we were all more confident, tighter, way more stoked, you know what I mean? So it's like, you get to write it, and you know that there is a high expectation from it, because you can't do anything worse than what you did before. But it's like, I think the confidence was more than the worries at that point, you know what I mean? It still is, because it's like, we're growing, we're getting better.
What about you, Chad, relative to expectations? Because you had kind of talked about it earlier. What's it been like to try to manage those? Or do you just say, you know what, we just are going to go balls to the walls and let the chips fall where they're going to fall?
Well, I mean, when I was thinking about it, I just wanted my performance to be the best that it could, and I just made sure that I did that. I practiced every day before, like when we got back from that Exhumed tour. I took like a week and a half off because it was Christmas. I was spending time with my family. I hadn't been home in almost like 3 months, so like I was taking a break. But like every day after that, I was practicing, getting ready to when we all three were going to practice together. And then we were practicing almost the entire week. And then we went in the studio, and then I killed it in like 3 or 4 days. All my tracks. So it's like, that's how I wanted it to be. I didn't want to waste any time. I just wanted to give the best performance that I could possible, because it had to happen. There was no other way. And that was like what I was expecting to do. And I think people will know, you know, and I've even alluded to that too. I know that my playing was way better on this one.
Very cool. Very cool. When does the album drop? Like a date? When does it come out?
August
28th.
And will there be any more kind of little nuggets for us to be teased with before then? Or
well, we're gonna have another single. Before that.
Very
in about cool. A month or a little less. A month from when the other one dropped. But July 3rd coming up now, this Friday, we're having we're having some new versions of the LP for sale on our Bandcamp.
Very cool.
And 10 Crimes, I think, is going to have it too on their website.
Mhm.
And we're going to have some new merch
I'm going to
related
make
to the
sure
album for pre-order.
for folks watching the video, there'll be a link right down in the description to NECROT's Bandcamp page so you can take advantage of what Luca was just talking about. That's July 3rd, you said, right?
Yeah, it's that one day that Bandcamp doesn't charge any fees on the artists. So it's like, that's why we always try and promote it.
Absolutely.
Because we need the money more than they do.
Absolutely, right on. But like I said, I'm going to make sure to get that link in the video, and we'll get this video out really quick. I wanted to end briefly. Just again, we had talked about this earlier. I'd be foolish not to bring it up, and that's just. And I'll just bring it up this way. I just want to give a shout out to Luca and the rest of the members of NECROT, but in particular you, Luca, for being such an integral part of the metal versus racism campaign that's going on right now. Okay. We don't have to, I know you've done tons of interviews about it. I don't want this to turn into,
No, I can briefly
I just want to thank you. I just want to
Of
thank you
course.
guys. Okay.
There is a lot of people that have been putting a lot of work into it. And it's like, it has been like a great opportunity for everybody who's getting involved to like learn, straight up learn. Because it's like, we all came in kind of like, you know, we felt like we needed to do something, but it's like then through the inputs of each other and people of color involved in the scene, we were able to actually give it like a direction that is like what we actually want to give it, which is like, you know, admitting that each and one of us in the past have had behaviors without noticing that were like either discriminatory, let's say. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't need to be necessarily racist to the exactly extent of the word, but like definitely we have all eventually heard someone say a racist joke and not said anything. You know what I mean? We have all eventually laughed about it in the past. You know what I mean? And it's like, is the time to take conscious and actually listen to these people that are actually the one that are suffering, you know, and actually have an open-minded into listening. And like I wasn't born with that trauma, you know what I mean, of like being discriminated in my life and so many aspects. And it's like, for the metal community, it's important to be a safe place and an understanding place, because people get to metal and get to extreme music because they feel oppressed in society, they feel not understood, or from their family or whatever. So you find like in the metal community or punk or whatever, like, you know, your group where you belong, where people understand you, where they like the same shit as you. You know what I mean? So everybody should be able to feel like that without having to be like, you know, at a show and feeling intimidated by some people because of like, you know, their behavior or what they say, or because they have like, you know, swastika on their t-shirt or some shit. You know what I mean? And it's like in metal, it is more of a problem than in other genres.
Yeah,
definitely. It's not like a problem that is like I don't know. It's like it's not that people are dying. There is avenues of society where like the problem is racism is way heavier, definitely, than the metal community, like real fucking life. You know what I mean? Or like,
but the bottom line is, if we can't name it and recognize it in our own fucking communities,
absolutely,
that's
exactly
what we have to do.
Exactly. And there is so many people that want to open that discussion, that want to make people understand. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's beautiful. It's like a ball that is rolling by itself, because it's like, I started it and with Scotty and like, you know, Chad and Sonny, and like, then all these people were like, oh, we want to participate. Oh, I got these more people to participate. Oh, this guy has an idea. Hear him out. Hey, look at this, look at that. And everybody's like, boom. And then all of a sudden there's this whole thing pretty much going by itself.
Absolutely. Well,
and you guys did participated, and that was with the Seattle thing.
Yeah, we've been doing some Seattle stuff as well. Yeah.
And that's like the most beautiful thing is like people starting their own thing.
Yeah.
That's what we've always wanted. We never wanted to own this. We wanted something for everybody to use. We even tried and post the logos online for people to just grab them and make their own videos. And it's like, it's definitely something that is developing, and like more people are taking part of it, and it's taking a really cool direction, I think.
It's very fucking cool. So I wanted to thank you guys for that, for trying to make the metal scene a more inclusive and supportive place. I also wanted to thank you guys for simply making kick-ass fucking music, because it's one thing to have a place that's safe to go see shows, but if the shows are shit, who wants to go?
We need
So we need a band out there making some good fucking music. So seriously, I just, Sonny, Chad, Luca, I just wanted to thank all three of you for the music that you guys put out, for the work that you're doing behind the scenes to make our community an even better place than it already is. And I cannot recommend the new material enough. If people are watching this video, hit the link down below, because the new NECROT album, from what I've heard so far, is fucking sick. And if these guys are speaking the truth, it's even sicker than I think. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, John.